Period. This is a fact. Okay, I'm done. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry that I've been gone because I took on a second job, but she will soon be leaving my life, and that's another story for another day. So anyway, I am back, and today's video is 6 areas of law for creatives. This is something I didn't realize when I applied to law school, but it came about as I did my research and as I entered law school and just learned about all the opportunities that are open to you as a lawyer. Number 1 is media law. That covers all sources of media, so like newspapers and TV and film and things like that. So you can get a lot of really interesting cases that way, whether that be about privacy or defamation, as we see currently playing out between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It's really interesting. Obviously, if you love journalism or pop culture or news, whether that be radio, newspapers, or television, media law is a great area to get into. It's way more dynamic than it looks. Other than what's going on with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, another like very recent famous media law case is Meghan Markle versus the newspapers that published the letter to her father. Not gonna lie, it made me think about switching from my area of law, because I was like, ooh, we know the paparazzi gets messy, the public sphere gets a little wild, gets a little crazy. So definitely consider media law. Number 2 is music law. This is a little bit off the cuff. The girls don't give music law enough respect, but essentially you are the lawyer for a musician, a recording company, music academy, or institution. So you can be the music lawyer for Sony, for Def Jam, like basically anything related to music, there's a way to be a lawyer for it. You never thought, oh, I could combine that? Yes, it's true. The rumors are true. You can combine that. I feel like getting opportunities for that is harder, but it's not impossible. It's the kind of thing that you'd probably have to be well versed in terms of knowing record labels are near you and what kind of opportunities they offer. But I also feel like just doing your research and finding ways to connect with people, whether that be through social media or LinkedIn. Musicians and record labels are just another client, so you would still be practicing law, but again, the issues you're dealing with would be the issues that musicians deal with, whether that's copyright or intellectual property or human rights, even like employment stuff within the brand, within the record label. So that may be an option for you and may make law more interesting, because you would be working with really cool clients all the time and defending them in the process of making their work and protecting it. So number 3 is intellectual property. This seems silly to say, but again, you'll notice there's a recurring theme with being a creative, and it's protecting your work, whether you're in fashion, in music, or you're a visual artist. Like, it's really, really, really difficult to protect your work. It's a skill that isn't really taught to creatives. With internet and with social media, like, it's that much harder. If you are interested in law, but also are still creative, I would recommend intellectual property because it overlaps with so many things. It'll be a very, very, very valuable skill regardless of what direction you take it. So if you knew intellectual property really, really well, you can work for galleries, you can work for record labels, you can, obviously work for chambers or firm or what have you. You can work for yourself as well. But yeah, intellectual property is a valuable skill. And I would say number 4, which directly corresponds with that, is internet law. Now, she's not as sexy, but I feel like internet law is still valuable because it really builds upon privacy as well as defamation, as well as intellectual property and freedom of speech and stuff like that, and human rights. So it throws a lot together, but because so many artists and creatives use the internet to promote their work, to run a website, to sell their product, you knowing internet law will always be a good idea, because plenty of people will seek you out, as well as you will find that really marketable. Even when you just think about Instagram and so many brands and designers selling their stuff directly on Instagram, there are so many ins and outs of that, about like what Instagram has the rights to, because they're the brand and they're like the marketplace essentially. But then you have the rights of the actual designer. That's hard to answer as a consumer or as a budding designer, but as an internet lawyer, you would know how to answer that. Number 5 is sports law. I feel like sports law is the most popular on this list in terms of having the amount of resources and opportunities available to it. Sports law as implied, is basically being a lawyer in the realm of sports, both like professionally and like locally. You could be the sports lawyer for a club like Chelsea or Manchester United, the NBA or NFL. Obviously, you could wind up having private clients, so directly representing certain athletes in certain sports. But yes, I feel like if you know for a fact like what you want to do and you love sports, I feel like that's a really great combination. I've noticed that if you go into sports law, it's a more general scope. So again, you are expected to be a really strong, well-rounded lawyer, and you just so happen to have clients who are athletes. You know, contracts between athletes and the team, financial nuts and bolts about like what a team goes through. There's a certain like global scope to it because most sports industries are very widespread. So for example, if you were a sports lawyer for the Toronto Raptors, like, you know, you would have to not only understand sports law as it pertains to Canada, but also as it pertains to America, since the NBA has teams in both countries and your team is a part of that, even though they're not technically American. Number 6, this one I have yet to see in the wild, but it does technically exist, is art law. That's essentially you being a lawyer that not only helps artists protect their work, but also deals with the issues that come with public spaces that have art. So, you know, you could be a lawyer at a gallery, a lawyer that works directly with a buyer, a lawyer that's, you know, helping out a collector, things like that. If you love highbrow art, up and coming spaces, stuff like that, or if you know a lot of visual artists and you're like, ooh, I support them a lot, but I wonder if I could take it further. Yes, you could do art law. I feel like art law is super, super niche, but she definitely exists because you need a lawyer for everything. Like that's never gonna change. Last but not least, number 7 is fashion law, my baby, my bread and butter. So fashion law, I'm so glad you asked. Fashion law is the legal umbrella of dealing with all things related to fashion and the legal issues that come up with every single like tier within it. There's legal needs for buyers, legal needs for manufacturers, legal needs for brands and designers, legal needs for models, and legal needs for garment workers. Because fashion is so huge, there's so many different things you can pour into fashion law and still technically be working with fashion clients. So if you really love environmental law and, you know, protecting the earth, definitely ways to go about that because of so many brands outsourcing their materials and their development and production process. If you're not trying to get into all that, you just want it to be commercial or just more transactional based, you could always be an in-house lawyer for a brand. But if you're really about it, you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, then you could be like me and decide that you really care about a specific issue related to fashion, and even though you haven't seen a lawyer do it, you're gonna do it anyway. And for me, that's employment law because I'm really passionate about garment workers' rights. So I want to do fashion law through international labor, and that's my story. That's my truth. Fashion lawyers exist. There aren't a lot of them. Most of them pivoted into it from other things, whether that was commercial law or tax law. Do not be discouraged. Just because you don't see a lot of programs related to any of these topics doesn't mean they're not worthwhile doing. You may not be able to find an LLM for it, nor may you may not have the desire to even do a LLM, but that's okay because truthfully, your passion will bleed through on your CV if you're getting just as much law experience as you are experience as a creative in the industry you want to go into, whether that's art, music, sports, fashion, whatever. Thank you for watching my video. If you are curious about a certain law topic and just want to know, and or you're in it and I didn't list it, but you feel like it would make a lot of sense for creatives, definitely comment it below, help somebody out, change their life, because knowledge is power. So again, you could be in law school right now or be applying or whatever, or be kind of having an identity crisis. And now you're like, oh, wait, I didn't know I could do that. Like, yes, baby, you can. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it can't happen, all right? Don't think because those aren't the lawyers you see on TV. Those aren't the lawyers you see glamorized in pop culture. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist and it doesn't matter. They're just waiting on you. With that, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. And my stomach is growling, so it's definitely time to go. So that's it. Thank you so much.